Hello everyone, Tone Deaf Monk. Today let's have another little bit of a conversation about is newer better, and in this case I'm going to talk about the new Shanling M6 Ultra. And if you're thinking about picking one up, maybe you should consider this as good viewing and some information that I'd love to share with you. So starting off, M6 Ultra comes in this is the green version. I'm not sure if they both come in the green version box. Inside, you're greeted with one DAP. Underneath, you have your warranty cards and your face covers, and then under that is a little teeny box, and that has your simple USB-C to USB-C cable. That's it. That's all you get. So my first observation is, what happened to just giving you some of the extras, which is like the coax digital cable, so you don't have to buy that separately. Not everyone's going to use this as USB out into, as say you're using your M6 Ultra as a transport, and I want to send it out coax digitally. Well, you can actually, can you do that with this one? That's an excellent question. Honestly, don't think you can. You can send the signal out digitally through USB, and that's it. Unless I got something wrong on this one, but no. You can set your output for your headphones is either low output or send it out to headphones or low output. Let me just check on that for I'm not shooting shit here. Give me a... All right, I'm back. As I actually never found a way to send digital signal out of this thing other than USB, I'm going with the no. But on the, when you do the pull down menu, you can see in your headphones it says PO, and if you hit that, it gives you a little pop-up message saying the output volume, and it gives this to you every time. So that's a kudos to Shanling, that it'll increase the volume to maximum. So if you're using this as a line out to another amplifier, that's a great setting to have. And I love the little warning. So let's talk about, so I have the M6U, and then recently I also picked up the older, bigger brother, the M8. And it wasn't until I picked up this where I really got a source, where I really got a sense of the kind of the sound profile of the M6U. I don't think you can really give your impressions on a player unless you have something to compare it to, because it sounds good, and you're not, and in this case, I was not sure of what colorations that this one was giving me until I listened to something else. Now, I'm very fortunate to have some different DAPs and dongles and sources. X-Duo XD05 Pro with the ESS. In other DAPs, I have the Ibasso DX90. I have the DX170. So, and I have the different sources, so I had a comparison. And this really video in this, I wasn't going to do a review on this DAP, except for I think there's some information that if you're looking at picking this player up, you might want to know. Now, and it really didn't come into fruition until I recently did this review on the Timmy's Let Sure Giz Audio collaboration with the Galileo, where this one is a very mid-centric set. And speaking with our group, and especially Kevin Davies, who has every DAP made, he kind of shared the same. And it's nice to have peer group and feedback in our Canucks Audioholics group, because we bounce things off each other. We talk about things to each other and share impressions, and kind of reaffirmed what I was hearing, is that he was also hearing with the M6U as well. And so let's get into it a little bit. So this is now the kind of newer version of the M8, M9, and they made it smaller, they made it thinner, they made it lighter, but they kept almost all the DNA the same. On the bottom is the USB-C and the memory card on the top. So here is your 3.5 and 4.4 dedicated line outs. And you have your volume wheel on the side, which I absolutely love. And on the other side, you have your up, down, and pause, play button, which is also great. Taking a step down, I think, in design, where the M8 has way nicer tactile buttons. And one other little niggle is that the memory card kind of little cover, this one has one attached, where this one just could fall off quite easily, like that. And you'll probably end up losing it. So I wish they'd kind of not cheap out on just some of the little things, right? Also the screensavers, I'm going to say that. On all of mine, I put on a matte screensaver that I cut down from like a cell phone one of the newer ones that it doesn't allow fingerprint magnets. It seems like all the factory ones that they do, it's nice that they do give you one, but unfortunately they're fingerprint magnets. Like, wouldn't be hard to throw in some nicer ones that don't do that. Again, those are little things that can be easily fixed and taken care of with aftermarket stuff. So let's talk about sound. And this is kind of an interesting also thing, an epiphany when it came to, is newer better, right? So older and newer. Like I recently found out with my Gishelli stacks, is I actually prefer the sound of the older version with the older chip than I do, and that I prefer the one with the 4493 chip over the 4499 chip, and which is completely backwards, because M8 4499 4493. We're in sound preference, and let's get into that. I prefer this over this. Now, going back to, I just want to read something to you. And now, so this is from the Shanling website. So M6 Ultra is our first portable player adapting the newest generation of AKM DACs, utilizing 4 of the AK 4493 SEQs. The quad design, it's really interesting that they used 4 of them to do it. They were able to divide the signal 4 ways between each of them, achieving a completely independent, fully balanced output. So this is going to really come into play when you're using the balanced output versus the single-ended. Again, this is their amplifier design was further adjusted for this quad DAC array, allowing for higher power output that was possible in our previous AKM-based M6. So I think they did this so they could squeeze out 720 milliwatts into 32 ohms, which is quite impressive in the balanced output. And it really does put out some serious juice. So the other thing that really caught me is following the fire at AKM's factory in 2020, we had to switch many of our models from the rival DACs from ESS, which they had no choice. You had to, when AKM factory burned down, they had to switch over to somebody. So most manufacturers geared up to do ESS DACs, which is great for them, and in some cases they're terrific implementations. So the M6 and the M6 Pros had the ESS DACs, and in that time allowed to play with some new audio designs. The tuning, but they said the tuning was never completely matching Shanling's traditional house sound, and it marked a shift in the sound of our portable players when they switched to ESS. But the sweet AKM tuning is now back with the M6 Ultra, returning to a slightly warmer and relaxed sound, taking listeners back to the original AKM M6 models and M8, serving as a perfect alternative to our ESS Sabre-based M7 portable player. That is a very interesting and a very true statement. And then now listening to the M8, I understand the house sound. And this also, I also have UP5 as well, which is the ESS version. So their implementation of that. It is a slightly warm, musical, smooth, bassy in the M8. Now let's talk about the M6. Yes, it has their warm smooth, but what this one does, and Kevin also reaffirmed that, is it's very mid forward. And that really plays a part into should I pick this up as my main go-to player, because it really depends on what you're listening to. Not everyone is going to have one set of earphones or one set of headphones and want to kind of get a player that tailors to that. I think you're going to, I know maybe it's just me, but I have lots of IMs and not so much in headphones, but definitely in IMs that sometimes I pick up a different source or I use it with a different source to change the way it sounds. And I can easily do that with the M8, but the M6 is kind of a different, M6 Ultra is kind of a different beast. For example, let's go full circle and talk about Timmy's set, where I call this one very mid-centric. So, and it does that. So it has bass and it has treble, but it projects mids forward. So instrumental, strings, all play banjo. If you're a big banjo listener, right? It plays that forward and pretty good. Listen to Niels Lofgren in his, he's a guitar player and a singer. Listening to him and listening to a set, if you were taking, well, let's just take the playback on two different sets, for instance. So one is the Galileo, right? And the other one, say I take the ISN Neo 5. So the Neo 5 is more bassy, and it's got more sparkly twinklies in the high end and extension and air than this one. But it's kind of has a very low pinna gain, so it's not vocal forward at all. It's more warm and kind of laid back. So what if I wanted to get more out of this, and I didn't want such a warm and laid back presentation? Well, ear tips, of course. Cables are going to make a difference, like a brighter cable. But there's only so much you can do where sources are going to change it quite a bit. So in this case, if I were to take the Shanling M6U and play it with Timmy's, it would just really enhance that set's mid-centricness and project it forward, and it would kind of mute the low end and the high end. And listening to that, it was like, not my favorite. Whereas put it on the M8 and you're like, oh yeah, that's nice. Completely different playback. Then you put the Neo 5 on the M6U and it brings it to life, right? So awesome in that particular way. So that being said, would I consider the M6 Ultra as a all-rounder? No, I don't think I would. Where I would consider that with the Ibasso, that I really like it for, I think it's the best entry-level player, the DX170, and or higher, like an M8 or an M9. They're getting pretty pricey at that point. I mean, I'm lucky I picked one up on a used market, but $1,700 for a DAP is tons of money. Even the M6 Ultra, right? I mean, that's definitely up there as well. So $919 was the list manufacturer's suggested retail price. It's a big chunk of change for a DAP that I don't think is going to be an all-rounder. Does it sound wonderful? Yes, it does. It has a great sounding, it's a great sounding player, warm, detailed, but just so you know, it definitely plays mid-centric. So string instruments are going to play forward in the mix more so than normal. Vocals, certainly, project forward. You'll probably notice it more on female vocals than male vocals. So if you're listening to a set, Galileo, and you really wanted to bring out more of the vocals, then it might be too much for a set like this, but it would probably be fantastic, which it does, on this set. So it has tons and tons of things going for it. Its size, its massive battery pack, its huge power output, its controls, its volume wheel, its size, its shape. It is a terrific player. I don't think they throw in the case with this one either, which for me was another $70 US. So that was, again, up there in price. I mean, it's a bit. I mean, you've already spent, so it'll put it over. Well, it'll put it at $1,000 pretty much. Time you add a memory card and because the onboard memory is not as much, right? So, am I rambling on? Maybe. But I just kind of wanted to get that out there and share my thoughts and impressions on the Shanling M6U. And if you're thinking of picking one of these up, just know that you're going to get a slightly warm, you're going to get a smooth house signature that in the AKM fashion, but you're going to get a mid-forward presentation as well with that package. So very far from a colored neutral DAP, probably more so than I've seen other players. And if that's what would tickle your fancy, then by all means, this is a wonderful player and I would recommend it to you highly. In conclusion, for the Shanling M6 Ultra, is newer better? It certainly might be. That is an interesting question, and it really depends on what you're looking for and what kind of sound signature you're going for, and what you ultimately want to achieve. And if you want to add some coloration to, in a good way, to your music, then this might be for you. like I said, it checks off a lot of boxes. And it's important to know this going ahead, picking up the player. And it's kind of funny because when I was doing my research, should I pick this up? It didn't come forward. I didn't see anything or anybody say anything about the sound signature being, mid forward. And I know it's not just me, it's other ears that I trust also have the same opinion in my group. So they're with their player as well. So that's why I felt obligated to put this video out, and not be one of the shills for companies saying it's the latest, greatest, most wonderful thing in the planet. Because I don't agree with that. And I think the reason you watch videos, and same as me, and try to understand and get other impressions, is so we can make an informed decision. And that's why I do these videos, and that's why I look to try and help people either spend your money or save your money. Stone Deaf Muck, I'm up.